Lhykhis, the Whispering Web, is the legendary Phoenix Lord of the Warp Spider Aspect Warriors. Long thought lost, she has returned in the Era Indomitus, striking swiftly across the galaxy to protect the Asuryani. A master of warp-jumping ambushes, her lightning-fast assaults make her an elusive and deadly presence on the battlefield, feared by all who oppose her. Hello my friends, my name is Max, and today we're going to open and assemble this brand new miniature for Aeldari Lhykhis. I really hope I'm pronouncing this right. By the end of this video, as always, we will figure out answers for 3 simple questions. Does this mini look cool when assembled? Is it fun and easy to build it? And how does it look next to other minis? Let's see what's in the box. In the box, we find the instruction set, a really nice sprue with a lot of webs, and a base, a 40mm base for this mini. I can immediately see that this miniature has very intricate design. All Aeldari are smaller than Space Marines, and the beats are very delicate, so we're gonna have a lot of fun building this one. I tend to say we start as always with the torso when we assemble minis here. But this is the rare case when we don't start with the torso. We actually start with the legs. We all need beats 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's start with beats 1 and 3, since I cleaned them up. This is the butt and the left leg, and they should be assembled along these lines. There are some locks here, as you can see. Should be like this, and I'm going to glue it. And this is my left leg assembled. This is my right leg. Should be sitting over here like this. This is the right leg in place. And this is some sort of like a spider kind of thing that is supposed to be attached to the butt. It should be sitting over here. You can see there are some locks here. And that is where we're gonna glue it. And this part is gonna flow the miniature in the air above the web later on. Now we need to find the feet number 5. These are the feet. Let's see how they should be assembled. It should be somewhat like this. And these are our feet in place. Looking good so far. Now we finally need to find the beats for the torso, beats 6 and 7. Let's see how the torso is sitting together. Should be along these lines, like this. This is our torso assembled. Before placing the torso on the legs, let's assemble the head first, beats 10 and 11. The parts of the head are cleaned up. They should be assembled like this. Very distinct look. This is our head. Now let's return to the torso. You can see there is a lock here, so it should be sitting in this position. Very distinct position. And I'm going to glue it. And this is our torso so far. We can probably drop the head on top of it now. Should be like this. There is also a very prominent lock. You cannot really mess it up. And this is our torso so far. Now we need to find hands. Let's start with the left one, number 8. This is our left hand, and it should be sitting over here, like this. Dry fit it before you glue it. And this is our torso with the left hand. Now let's find the right one with the wicked looking sword, beat number 9. And this is our right hand with the sword. Looks incredibly cool. It should be assembled somewhat like this. This is our Space Eldar spider so far. We have done all these things. And now we move here. to this kind of stuff. Dry fit it before gluing. This is a very, very wise piece of advice here. Now we need to create an exoskeleton from bits 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Let's start with bit 12 and one of these. Took me a while to clean up the jump pack and the bits 13 that is supposed to be sitting on the right. And of course, if it's a gun, we can drill it. This is a small hole over here. It is so tiny, if you don't want to drill it, I will not be judging you at all, because it is very, very, very small. This gun should be assembled like this. You can see there is a lock-looking thing here. I'm going to glue it. It is very flimsy. Make sure to dry fit it before you actually put any glue here. Now bit 14. Alright, this is our bit number 14. As you can see, I also was able to drill a small hole over here. Let's see how it should be sitting here on this jump pack. Should be along these lines. There is also a small lock here. Make sure you don't mix them up, because this is an often problem with this kind of things. They look very similar. That is why I'm building them one by one. And this is our exoskeleton so far. Now these stingy things. Let's start with the right one, 15. This is my bit 15. It also should be sitting somewhere on this exoskeleton. I strongly suspect this is how it should look like. But this is diabolically hard to understand from the instruction set that I have, how it should look like. Could be pretty much in any position. I think this one is the right one. Definitely dry fit it before you glue it. It is gonna be very challenging otherwise. I think this is it. This is probably the right position. However, I am not sure. Let's attach another one. Bit number 16. Well, it looks like I managed to clean up bit 16. Be very careful, don't impale yourself. These bits are very sharp, especially this thorn over here, part of the web. Very, very sharp. Should be assembled somewhat like this. If you look carefully, there is a tiny lock over here that should go over here. And it should be attached somewhat like this. Dry fit it before you glue this thing together. And now let's see how this jump pack is supposed to be attached to the torso. Should be along these lines. Under normal circumstances, I would recommend partial assembly for this. However, this miniature seems to be so complex, I would rather build it as a whole and then paint it really carefully. Let's try to glue it. We'll put glue here and over here at hair. And this is our Lhykhis so far. Now we need to build the base with the web. Let's start with the web, 17 and 18. Took me a lot of time to clean up these spider webs. And let's see how they should be assembled together. This is how it should look like when assembled. Dry fit it before you glue it. And this is our end result of the spider web. Looks incredibly cool. We will give it some rest, and in the meanwhile we will assemble this familiar looking Aeldari base, bits 19 and 20. These are the two bits of the base, and they should be assembled somewhat like this. Note that it is angled over here like this. Going to glue it now. Here we go, this is our base. Let's see how this thing is supposed to be sitting on the base. And they're very explicit. Look, 3 arrows over here, which means that be careful. Let's take a look at what this all is about. This is how it should look like. Note that over here on the surface is a pattern that is matching a pattern over here in this area. And that is a sign for you that this is the area that should be glued. Going to put some glue here. And this is how the assembled bits looks like. And this whole thing is now supposed to be on the base. I would prefer to glue the miniature to this whole thing first before putting this on the base, just in order to see where the mini should end up. So let's keep this instruction set. And let's see how this should be achieved. So we're supposed to put the miniature on this net. This is roughly how it should look like. There are 4 points where the mini is supposed to be touching the net. And give it a try before you glue it, because otherwise it's gonna be diabolically complex. One bit is this. Another one is this. Here. And here. Let's hope it works. Well, it took me a lot of effort to try to put this spider web on the base. I was completely unsuccessful into following the instructions. And in the end, I had to just plug it there and pour a lot of glue. As you can see, it's melted over here. Everything is melted, including this Aeldari runes. But it did the trick. Spent half an hour at least trying to make it look good. And the main problem was that when I was following the instructions in the booklet, namely this instruction with 3 arrows over here, my miniature looked very, very much tilted towards the ground. So it was not like vertical, it was like this. And on the pictures over here, and especially over here, it looks like it should be kinda horizontal. And that was really annoying me, because I could not achieve this horizontal position with the instruction that they provided. So it was supposed to be looking like this instead of like this. So what I did, I was basically like trying to move around this spider web, jiggle it around. And of course it could not fix itself, because the area that is supposed to be touching the base is very small. And it was not supporting the weight of the mini, assembled mini with the spider web and whatnot. So yeah, it was a total disaster. But as you can see, you still can just melt everything, plug this thing there in any position you want, give it some rest. I basically left it like this on the table for, I don't know, an hour or something, and it was fixed in place. And of course, the mini itself looks incredibly cool. This is really amazing how it looks. I will give it 5 skulls out of 5 for the sheer fun of building it, and I will give it 2 skulls out of 5 for its ease of assembly. Reason being, firstly, all the bits are very small. It is a lot of them in this box. Moreover, most of the bits have a lot of mold line, especially these weapons. You had to drill really tight holes in these 2 guns over here. And, of course, the total disaster with the base. The instructions were not particularly clear, even though I spent a lot of time dry fitting it. I could not assemble it the way I wanted it. So, long story short, I think this is a diabolically hard miniature to assemble correctly. And I have seen people online making similar kind of mistakes. Hopefully I'm not the only one who had this issue. However, if you are struggling, as I did, with putting this spider web on the base, just make sure to pour a lot of glue here, glue it the way you want, and leave it like this or like this. It actually does not really matter, it will fix itself in this position anyway, for some extended period of time. And that is gonna be fine. This mini might require partial assembly, because it is a lot of parts that are hard to access because of the spider web and this jump pack. However, I would not recommend it to assemble it separately and paint it, because as you have seen, there is a risk of mistakes. All the bits that should be touching each other, they are very small. For example, the mini itself was supposed to be touching the spider web in 4 different places, and if you glued something imperfectly, like I did with this sharp thingy, you would just struggle to make it work, especially if you painted it first. This is gonna be a disaster. I recommend assembling it like this, base coating it, and then really carefully painting the assembled mini without sub-assembly. And let's take a look how this mini sits next to some other minis. I don't have a lot of Aeldari, that is why I will have some Space Marines. As you can see, the Knight Master is way shorter because of the base of this fine miniature. But if we compare him to the mini itself, I think they are of comparable size. Really cool spider miniature, and I think this is gonna be just looking great on the battlefields, especially when you're fighting Space Marines or something similar. This mini is almost as tall as the standard bearer of the Dark Angel's Inner Circle Companion with the standard. I think they're roughly of the same size, height-wise. I really like that they started to do this kind of taller miniatures, and they have a little bit more presence on the battlefield. I think it is pretty cool. And of course, if you are fighting some sort of firstborn Space Marines, those look very small compared to this new Aeldari minis. I have a feeling that some Aeldari minis also became a bit taller and slightly easier to work with. And that's a wrap for today, my friends. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It will help you to catch more content like this and support me in growing this channel. Share your thoughts on this mini in the comments below. I'm working to make my videos more helpful and I need your input. Check the description of this video for a Google form link and share. What's your biggest struggle when building Warhammer 40k minis? Make sure to check the video that you see now on your screen. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.